Good evening, students. My name is Somi Dekhtar from Alampur Institution, and today I'm going to teach you about taxonomical aids. In the previous classes, we have studied about taxonomy, classification, nomenclature, and the rules of nomenclature. Now, today we will study about these taxonomical aids. Okay, so what are these taxonomical aids? Taxonomical aids basically are taxonomical aids. They basically are the rules and processes of how to preserve the plants and animals. So they are processes for preserving process preserve of animals, plants, and the microorganism. How to preserve them for future use, for their studies, and for various type of to save them from various type of environmental conditions. So these are some of the taxonomical aids which are used all over the world for their preservation, for their study, and for identification, for proper classification of each and every kind of living things which are present on Earth. Okay, so they basically include what? These taxonomical aids include, first of all, herbarium, which is very important and very famous. Then they include botanical gardens. Then they include museums. Then they include zoological parks. Zoological parks. Others are flora, manuals, then monographs and catalogs. Monographs and catalogs. So all these things are a kind of taxonomical aid in order to preserve, in order to study various kind of microorganism or the plants or the animals which are present on Earth. Herbarium is basically used to save the plants, to preserve and study for the plant, preserve and study about plants. And basically it cannot include the trees because trees are so big and they cannot be pressed and they cannot be preserved on a sheet of paper. So herbarium includes those plants and animals which are smaller in size and which can be pressed on a paper, and then which can be saved further for the study. Main purpose of herbarium is to classify the plants and study them and nomenclate them according to what kind of plants have been discovered. Okay, so one by one we are going to take this, like herbarium, then botanical garden, then zoological parks, flora, manuals, and monograph. Okay, so first one is herbarium. It is little longer, so I will take it at last. Okay, next one, botanical garden. I'm going to take this botanical garden. What are these botanical gardens? It is also including about the plants. Botanical gardens are various kind of the gardens situated and placed at different parts of the world, and these gardens have different kind of plant species grown in the natural environment. Okay, so botanical gardens are what? The plants or plant species, we can say, which are grown in their natural environment for the purpose of study or classification. So these are the reason why these botanical gardens are situated all over the world, and there are many botanical gardens. One of them, which is the largest botanical garden, situated at Kew, London. Kew, London has largest botanical garden. Largest botanical garden. Okay. Now let us see what is this botanical garden. Botanical garden will look like this. It will contain various kind of plants which are grown in their natural environment according to the prescribed conditions which are suitable for their growth. Okay, so what does this definition say? Botanical garden, these are specialized gardens that have collections of living plants for references. References means by chance, if anybody wants to classify or wants to see the difference between two kind of plants, so they can come into the botanical garden, they can see those kind of plants, and they can match the things, what are the things and what are the differences between the plants are there. Okay, and also they are grown for identification purposes, each plant being labeled indicating its scientific name. See, botanical garden, it's not like any other garden that we have just planting the plants. It will contain name of each plant which are being grown along with their scientific name. So as for the identification, so whosoever is going to the botanical garden for classification or for study purpose, they can easily identify which kind of plant is grown here. So these are about botanical garden. Now we will study about this museum. What does museums do? Basically, we have studied about museums which are having the historical artifacts or historical monuments or very the things which are from the history, but these museums also are there for the certain kind of plants and animals which have been preserved and which have been found during the course of time. Okay, so museum are the places where remains of the plants and animals have been kept, new findings about the plant, animal, or certain microorganism have been kept. Here in the picture also you can see it is a plant, cycus plant, which have been kept here in the museum for study purposes, okay, for the references. And some kind of preserved plants and animals have also been kept in the museum. So let us see the definition first, then we will write. Okay, it is a place for collection of preserved plants and animals specimen for study and reference. Plants which can't be kept in herbaria are preserved here. See, as I've already told you that herbarium can only preserve the smaller plants, and it cannot preserve the trees, and as well as it cannot preserve the animals. So museums are made for the preservation and for the study and references of animals as well as the plant along with their trees which are bigger. Okay, so let us write museums. Museums are what? The place where bigger plants, plant specimens, we can write specimens, along with other plant specimens and animal specimens are kept and preserved for study and references. These are helpful for what? These are helpful for the identification purposes. Okay, these are helpful for identification purposes. Identification purposes. So I think that's all for today. Next class we will cover the flora manual and monograph and catalogs, and after that herbarium will be covered. Okay, so that's all for today's class. Bye.